Lecture topic: Du'as of the Accepted.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. Once again, with the tawfiq of Allah Ta'ala, we have these few moments to discuss some of the Malfoozat and the statements of our Akabir, and to learn from their teachings. As has been many times discussed, that the lessons that the Akabir have given are nothing but what is from the Qur'an and Sunnah. But what they have presented to us is the correct application of all this. Many a times a person learns something, but he still doesn't have the understanding of what is the correct application of what he has learned. And a person then does things thinking what he's doing is the right thing, but he's applying it in the manner that he thinks is right, whereas that might be far away from what is really the way it should be applied. So this is the need that the Akabir, they insight into things, the experience they have been blessed with, the expertise that they have in the path of Deen. We can not even imagine that. And over the centuries, those who have adopted this procedure, that they held on to the way of the seniors of the time and the pious predecessors, then that became a means of very easily getting past the many obstacles on the way, getting past the challenges from the side of nafs and shaitan, challenges from various quarters. So this is the need, and this is why we from time to time discuss these malfoozat and sayings. There are sometimes just a few lines in there, but those few lines are a summary of many different aspects of the ahadith. It's all summarized in there. Allah Ta'ala give us a tawfiq that we take these aspects to heart and we practice on the lessons that come from them. The one Malfooz of our Shaykh Hazrat Shah Hakim Maud Akhtar Sahib Rahmatullah Alayhi says, इरशाद फरमाया कि हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम इरशाद फरमाते हैं कि अल्लाह ताला 5 किस्म की दुआएं रद्द नहीं फरमाते. There are 5 types of dua, 5 people's dua that Allah Ta'ala does not reject. So dua is the essence of everything. Dua mukhul ibadah. Dua is the essence of ibadat, and ibadat is what we have been created for. So when dua is the essence of ibadat, then the acceptance of dua is obviously the peak of it. And in this particular Malfooz here, what is being explained is that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said 5 people's du'as are never rejected. So who are these 5 people? Number 1, mazloom ki dua. The dua of a mazloom, an oppressed person. Generally, when we hear something like this, we read something like this, so we think of others that who are zalim, that this person is a zalim, so those who are now the culprits of his zulm, the victims of his zulm, so mashallah their du'as won't be rejected. So we think about these things in terms of others. Who is committing the zulm? Somebody else. But other than explain something further here, first he explains mazloom ki dua Allah fauran qabul kar leta hai. Allah Ta'ala immediately accepts the dua of the mazloom. But thereafter in the explanation now further it says, kabhi insan maa baap se lar jata hai, to maa baap mazloom ho gaye. Sometimes a person, he starts getting into a fight with his own parents. So now the parents became mazloom. became mazloom of their own child. माँ बाप से बदतमीजी से बात कर ली. Sometimes a person talks in a very, very bad way with his parents. माँ बाप का दिल दुखा देगा. He breaks their heart, meaning unduly breaks their heart. So what he did was wrong, and that wrong action broke their heart. If what he did was right and they want him to do the wrong, now because what he did was right, they got upset and heartbroken, obviously that is their wrong. That is not his wrong. He'll have to make sabr on whatever comes from that end then. But what he did was wrong, and due to this he broke their heart. Bas zulm ho gaya. Dil ka dukhana, dil ko satana, usi ka naam zulm hai. To hurt somebody's feeling, to trouble someone, this is all called zulm. Isse sari ibadat naas ho jati hai. And this wipes out all one's ibadat. It will wipe it out on the day of Qiyamah, when a person now will have to pay back. And this is what shaitan makes a person oblivious of in this world. When a person is in that moment of anger and saying things, doing things without any care, without any concern, at that time he forgets there's an akhirat. Just goes on saying anything, doing anything. But there's an akhirat coming that just completely escapes the mind. It comes to mind later. It'll come maybe half an hour later, 1 hour later, 1 day later. Maybe it won't come till maybe the next occasion. A person now is sitting maybe in the Jummah Bayan or something, or some other occasion where somebody will now hear something about zulm. So it might occur to him at that time that, I was also guilty of it. But now the ego comes in the way, but am I going to go and ask for forgiveness and apologize and all these things? It's done now, it's over. It's over, just let it be. So neither do we stop on the spot when something happens and realize that this is our mistake, and then later when we come to realize about it too, then too we don't take the step of asking for forgiveness. Some of these things get left in abeyance just like that, because everybody just left it, and then nobody formally forgave it either, consciously forgave it. Allah forbid these things bite back very badly on the day of Qiyamah. And zulm is something that not only does it hurt a person very badly on the day of Qiyamah, the consequences of zulm come in this very world. But it comes in sometimes ways a person cannot identify that this is the consequence of my zulm. It comes in a way where a person sometimes can't even link it in any way. He forgot about what he did also. How he conducted himself, how he treated somebody. It might have been anybody, somebody he knows, somebody he didn't know from anywhere. Somebody just on the road, somebody in the masjid. He had no idea who this person is, but how he dealt with him, what he did constituted zulm. He went away, forgot about it, because he never saw the person again. And when he didn't see the person again, he's going to ask him for maaf also. But these things then sometimes come back in such a way, Allah Ta'ala save us and protect us. Now where the person once treated somebody badly, they never saw him again, doesn't even remember the incident, where he's going to link this consequence to that action of his? Can't even remember the action. But that zulm comes with these consequences. The example that is often given, and this works both ways, for good and also for bad. The example of a tap and a long hose. So now somebody, father says to his son, go and open the tap. He wants to maybe hose the car down or something. Now the tap is far away, that long hose. So now that, asked him, did you open the tap? He says, yes, I opened it. He said, but there's no water coming. No, it's open. He said, but there's no water coming. Maybe now the father will understand that why the water is not coming yet. But maybe the child is holding the hose. he might get impatient. How come you sing the water, you open the tap, no water? Father will explain to him, it's coming, it's on its way. It's already in the system. But it won't necessarily be apparent instantly. It's in the system. Now, when it finally comes out, it doesn't mean that it came out of the tap now. When it finally comes out of the hose, that is only the time now it became apparent. Actually, it was already on its way long before that. So very often, there are sometimes some very good things happen. Some barakat of various ways, various sorts come. But that is sometimes not realized where it came from. The barakat of sometimes things that a person doesn't give a second thought to. Just on this note, one is written about Bayezid Bustami rahmatullah alayhi. When he passed away, somebody saw him in a dream. So now this is a dream, but it's a lesson. So I asked him, how did things go with you? So he says that I was ushered into the court, and then a voice asked, what did you bring? He came now, what did you bring along? So I thought of now, what should I say? Should I say I brought salah and came, I brought fasting and came, I brought this amal, that amal, now whatever came to my mind at that time, but everything that came to my mind, I'm thinking, but all this, there can be some objection, but this was not up to standard, this was not up to standard. What are you claiming to have brought this? You don't even know whether it's acceptable, how it was performed. So when I couldn't seem to present anything else, so eventually I said, I brought Tawheed and came. So when I said I brought Tawheed, so then the question was asked to me, but what about the night of the milk? So he says, what actually happened was that one night I drank some milk, and then just shortly after I started feeling some pain in my stomach. So I said, I think I drank that milk, that must have been the reason now I'm feeling this pain. Now this is on a very high level. On our level, if something is attributed as a means, as a possible means, it's not any sin, provided that that is just on the level of means, but everything happens purely with the will of Allah Ta'ala, that aqidah is clearly in the heart and mind. He says, but now when I said I brought Tawheed and came, so the question asked to me was, what kind of Tawheed you brought? On that occasion, you attributed the pain to the milk. We are those who, we give the pain and we give cure from the pain also. That time you forgot about it. So what's the level of your Tawheed that you're presenting? So he says, when I heard this, I began crying. Then I got nothing else to present. Now what must I present? So I was then told that, okay, you see that one night, you were walking out, it was a rainy night, and there was a little pup lying out in the rain and very down and out. Perhaps it was very sick. You brought it in, sheltered it, warmed it, and fed it. We forgive you on account of that deed of yours. You may go into Jannat. Now this was seen in a dream. Allah knows best whatever the reality transpired on that end. But this is a message. Sometimes via dreams, Allah Ta'ala inspires somebody to take a lesson. So the point is, we have no idea. So now that one good, sometimes that one good way it might help a person. And the one good which he sometimes will not give any second thought to himself, generally there will be more ikhlas in that. Generally, that deed which he himself also gave no thought to, that what's this? But that's sometimes the deed that has the greatest weight in it, because there's more ikhlas in it. And what he also feels, I did something, Allah knows best what level of acceptance that might achieve or not. So the good also, sometimes in dunya, and sometimes that good, Allah knows best when it will reach a person in his moment of need. And likewise, sometimes the wrong a person does, and especially the zulm he commits, is already in the system. The effects of that is in the system. But now it comes along, and it manifests itself in time. Unless a person makes sincere tawbah and he turns to Allah Ta'ala, he makes amends for the zulm that he committed. If he has trampled somebody's rights, he now makes amends for that, seeks a person's forgiveness, etc. Then that will now get withdrawn. But otherwise it's in the system. Allah Ta'ala save us. So this is a very important thing that we have to be forever careful and conscious. And sometimes we don't think what we're doing, how we're conducting ourselves. The piety that we think is confined to things that are just in terms of wazaif, yes, that's very great. Tasbihat are very important. But piety is something beyond that as well. That is part of the process. Piety is something above that. Dr. Abdul Hayy Arifi Rahmatullah Alayhi, he says, once I was in the Haram Sharif, and as I was walking along somewhere, I just happened to notice one young person, and how he was weeping in his dua, and how he was beseeching Allah Ta'ala. I stopped there and I was looking for my sathis to call them and tell them, look, this is how we should be conducting ourselves. Look at the piety of this person. And look at how he is beseeching Allah Ta'ala. He says, as I was just now standing and seeing, watching him also, away now standing aside somewhere, and being inspired by the way he was, mashallah, making dua, and actually waiting now that I can see some of my sathis to show them. Just at that time, somebody else was walking past, they didn't notice this person perhaps. And they happened to bump into him and maybe even hurt him in a bit. So as soon as this person who walked past bumped into him, so he got disturbed, maybe he got a little bit hurt, to Allah knows. So suddenly this person just jumped up now. He was one moment engrossed in this dua, and the second moment now when this happened, he just jumped up, angrily he started now fighting with this person. Can't you see where you're walking? And got no concern how, now he's reprimanding him and he's shouting at him in the Haram Sharif. I said to him, I feel like give you one slap. He said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. One moment prior to this, I thought, mashallah, this person is on such a high level of wilayat. Mashallah, his dua was very good, but I thought he was on a high level of wilayat also. But now the next second, the reality opened out as well, that what level he is on. Now he became completely oblivious of everything else around him. Where is he in the Haram Sharif? And what he was just busy with dua, for that moment he couldn't make sabr. Now somebody bumped into him, that was wrong. But now he didn't injure him or something. It might have been a little, maybe got hurt slightly. But he didn't cause any major damage. That person was careless, that's not correct. But this reaction, and this reaction in the Haram Sharif, and then now wants to fight physically with the person. So now these are two total opposite pictures of the person. So on the one side, mashallah, they say that even Bayezid Bustami Rahmatullah Alayhi will get envious, or Junaid Baghdadi Rahmatullah Alayhi will get envious, that mashallah, how wonderful this person is. And one picture of the person is seen. And sometimes the other picture is seen, they say even shaitan feels ashamed. One side, even Junaid Baghdadi will feel envious. I wish I can be like this. Says the other side, even shaitan feels a bit embarrassed and shy. Say, this fellow beat me also. Now, that is not wilayat. That is not what we are taught how to get closer to Allah Ta'ala. To get closer to Allah Ta'ala, there's a complete deen. Deen in all its departments. Ibadat, muamalat, muasharat, Akhlaq. Obviously the foundation is iman. In all the departments of deen, a person is making the effort to get closer to Allah Ta'ala, improving himself and correcting his mistakes. But generally, this does not happen. This overall improvement, it is generally something that is not achievable without the guidance and supervision of somebody who a person hands himself over to. One is a casual and superficial kind of connection, relationship. Once in a while somebody might relate some dream. I saw myself flying somewhere quite high. and what should I do next? But then after that, what else he's doing while he's awake, that's not being discussed. Only what he saw while he's dreaming. As the Mufti Shafi Sahib rahmatullah alayhi, many people would come and they would relate dreams that they saw about him. MashaAllah, very good dreams. So he used to regard it as a ni'mat, and as part of showing appreciation for this ni'mat, he would even record it in one book. One booklet he had, one exercise book. So he would have it written down. The person came, okay, write it down now. As a ni'mat, Allah's blessing this is. But on the cover of that book, he had something written there. On the cover of the book, he had written that in the Akhirah, a person will not be judged about what he dreamt or what others dreamt about him. He will be judged by what he did while he was awake, not what he dreamt while he was sleeping. How he conducted himself while he was awake. That is what his outcome will be and what the judgment will be based on. So this improvement, overall improvement in all the departments of Deen, and especially as far as Ibadat is concerned, when a person, some concern of Deen comes, when some consciousness comes, then many a person starts becoming conscious of his Ibadat, becomes conscious of learning how to fulfill the Ibadat correctly as well. Somebody will even go for some Tajweed classes, mashallah. Excellent, very necessary. It's a kalam of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala's kalam must be recited in the way that Allah Ta'ala wants it to be recited. Laysa minna man lam yataghanna bil Qur'an. One explanation of this is that person who doesn't recite the Qur'an with the correct tajweed, Nabi Islah says, not from among us. So the Qur'an Sharif has to be learned. How to recite it correctly is very necessary. And if a person didn't have the opportunity earlier in life, now the realization came, whatever best effort he can still make, he should make. Still go to somebody, ask them to teach him how to recite the Qur'an Sharif correctly. Sometimes at a certain age now, it becomes very difficult to get the letters pronounced the way it should be pronounced, because now the tongue is set in a certain mold now over years. So now to readjust it and mold it differently becomes very difficult. But the best effort that a person can make at any point in time that consciousness has come, he must make that efforts. Allah Ta'ala's kalam. If some poet has composed some poetry, now somebody is reciting some nazam, and now the person who composed the nazam is sitting in the gathering. Now this person is reciting the nazam, but he is mispronouncing the letters and making a whole mix-up of it. That poet who's sitting there and listening to how his poetry is being recited, the chances are he'll tell his brother, it's wrong. You really, it's such a upsetting thing now listening to how you are reading it. Let alone some poet hearing his poetry being recited incorrectly and not being pronounced correctly. Somebody pronounces our name incorrectly. That pronunciation of our name also, somebody got it wrong, we'll correct him. We don't feel nice about it. That now how this person is pronouncing my name. Now some are very common names, but sometimes some names are not so common. So now some people don't get the pronunciation right first time. They may be not familiar with that name. So now you'll hear sometimes this happening. Somebody didn't get the pronunciation right, the person will correct him. Oh, it's not that, it's this. So our name, we want it to be pronounced correctly. Allah's kalam, that can be recited anyhow, without care. No. Allah Ta'ala's kalam is Allah's kalam. And Allah's kalam must be recited in the way that Allah is pleased with it. So haphazard recitation, that's not going to bring the rahmat and barakat from the recitation of kalam. So in any case, that we digress from what was being discussed. Allah. So a person now, some consciousness of Deen came, so now he'll start first becoming conscious of Ibadat. He'll even maybe make some effort to learn the Tajweed correctly. He might even go to somebody, teach me the postures of Salah. Alhamdulillah, it's very necessary. But how many a person who has become conscious of Deen now, that look, I need to get my life fully on Deen. So he goes and inquires about how to conduct his muamalat correctly. Now I'm this kind of business and it's carrying on. Is everything, this is, how am I doing it? It's right or wrong? How many a person inquires about his muasharat? How many a person spells out his own akhlaq? This is my story. This is what my conduct is. Whereas, that is what Islah is requiring. That Islah is not confined to one aspect, it's overall, everything. So now a person sometimes says, no, I went to visit my Shaykh. MashaAllah, very well. What you went and did there? He said, no, I visited him, asked him how he is. MashaAllah, very good. You told him how you are. You asked him how he is, MashaAllah, he's very well. But did you tell him how you are? He says, no, I also told him, MashaAllah, I'm very well. Very well, what? No, I'm well. You're very well in just your physical self or very well in everything else. Now the penny drops. What is being spoken about? He says, no, well, I think he was busy a little bit, so I didn't talk too much. So mashallah, you found such a time to go and talk to him when he was busy, so you didn't have to tell him anything besides your one dream, how high you were flying, that's all, full stop. So that's not how the way Islah happens. And that's not the way in which a person's correction takes place. The correction takes place when he spells out what his problem is. I haven't heard to date somebody made an appointment to go and see a doctor, to go and tell him, I'm well. So he said, if you're well, then why you came? Nobody goes to see a doctor because he's well. He didn't go to tell the doctor, I just came to tell you I'm fine. He says, well, that you didn't have to come all the way and make an appointment for that. So the point is that the way forward is to become conscious of our Islah. And that Islah is rectifying ourselves in all the departments of Deen. And unfortunately, because we neglect some of these things, then this becomes the outcome that a person sometimes gets involved in some kind of zulm or the other, doesn't even cross the mind. And if it does cross the mind later, he says, well, now this is all past now, so let it be. But Allah Ta'ala save us, that these things then catch up later with the person. There's one incident about one ruler. He wanted to build something. So he was just taking over everybody's land around where he wanted to build something. So he probably had one piece of land there, but he wanted to build something far bigger. So now forcefully he's buying everybody off. So now they got no choice. One old lady said, I'm not selling. So now tried to give her more. I'm not selling. And when now everything failed, she says, well, she's not selling now, just throw her out. Because she got prepared to sell and we need the place. So throw her out. She said, it's my right, it's my land, I'm not selling. So eventually they now made the decision that she must be thrown out, meaning forcefully remove her from there, and then just demolish the place. So now the day when this was going to happen, that the day prior or just prior to this whole forceful removal that was going to happen, she got to know that this ruler, this king, he was going to pass and come into the same area again to now come inspect now what's going on, how his construction has started or not from all the other pieces of land that he already has taken over. So now when he was going to come to this place, there was one narrow bridge, he had to cross that bridge. There was no other way to come here but to pass through that bridge. So she got to know now this whole entourage is going to be coming. So she went and waited by that bridge. And now as he came onto the bridge, she came in the way. Now it's a narrow bridge. They can't pass without knocking her down. And now somehow she just managed to gap in there before the guards could get hold of her or something. And she came and blocked his way. So whatever he was riding or something, somehow she came in the way. So now he was aware now this lady is the one who's now causing the problem for me because she doesn't want to sell. And whose now house we're going to demolish. So she grabbed hold of the reins of that horse. And she said to him, are you going to settle this matter on this bridge or that bridge? On this bridge here in dunya, that you now give the instruction that this is mine and you got no right to take it. And you cannot forcefully remove me from here. or you want to leave it for that bridge on the day of Qiyamah, Pulsirat. And on that bridge, when you'll be found guilty, you know where you're going to fall. So now that consciousness of Akhirat, that there's a hereafter coming. This bridge of dunya, many things will cross here. Many things will pass here. But the bridge of Akhirat is coming, then no amount of influence, power, might, wealth, anything will come to any avail of a person on that day if his deeds are not in order. On that day, it will be his iman, his amal, that is what's going to talk, that is what's going to take him along. So, this started off on this discussion about that 5 people's du'as are not rejected. First person was the mazloom. The mazloom's du'a is not rejected. Number 2, हाजी की दुआ रद्द नहीं होती जब तक कि वो घर वापस नहीं आ जाता. The dua of the haji, until he returns home, the dua is not rejected. Now, this is the dua of a haji. Very great virtue this is. Very great virtue. But the very important thing is the dua of a haji. What is the meaning of this? Dua of a haji, we know what it means. Dua of a person who went for hajj. But sometimes a person performs salah, but he performs his salah in such a way that in the hadith sharif it comes that such a person's salah is flung back at him like a dirty rag. And the salah curses him, ضَيَّعَكَ اللَّهُ كَمَا ضَيَّعْتَنِي. May Allah destroy you as you have destroyed me. Why? Because of the manner in which he performed the salah. Very haphazardly, didn't perform the ruku correctly, didn't perform the sajda correctly, the ta'deel arkan, performing all the postures with ease and calm. So especially the postures that get neglected very often, the qawma, the standing posture after ruku, before going into sajda. Very often that is done in extreme haste. Sometimes people don't even stand upright from the ruku and 3/4 way up and they already gone into sajda. So they completely neglected that wajib. And likewise between the two sajdas, the jalsa posture between the two sajdas, person comes 3/4 way up and he's gone down. So he completely neglected that wajib. And likewise anything else that's done haphazardly. So as a result, that salah gets flung at his face and the salah curses him. Allah Ta'ala save us and protect us from this. This is a need to now improve our salah and correct it. Likewise, hajj, if it is performed correctly, if it is a hajj maqbool, then the dua of such a haji is accepted and will be continued to be accepted until he has returned home. But Allah forbid if that hajj is done in a way that now, done very carelessly, person is not even protecting himself from haram while on hajj, casting haram glances here and there and everywhere, indulging in ghibat. If he's fulfilled the arkan and the compulsory aspects and the fundamentals of hajj properly, then his hajj, the obligation inshallah will get absolved. But that hajj which brings about all the virtues of hajj, Allah knows best whether it came or not. And whether such a person's du'as are on that level which always accepted, Allah knows best. Just as that salah sometimes is cursing him, Allah forbid the hajj is cursing him, then where his dua is going to be accepted. So the point in the lesson is that any amal must be done correctly. So one is just to go through the motions but do our own thing in the process. That's not going to bring the full benefit of it. Allah forbid, sometimes it will destroy all the benefit if it was done where the haram is carrying on as well, the ribat is carrying on, the gaze is not being protected, person is doing other things, Allah forbid what not goes on now because that phone is still in the hand. And even in places, the Mubarak places and the Haramain Sharifain, sometimes inside the Haram Sharif, person now is still so caught up in his old habit. So now he's on social media, and then what not is coming on, he's just pressing anything. Right inside the Haram Sharif now, some music is coming on. What not a person is watching in there. And because of old habits, it didn't die even in the Haram Sharif. That is how dangerous this becomes. How destructive it becomes. That with time, a person doesn't even remain conscious of what I'm doing. And where am I doing it? It just becomes part of him. This carries on. And he becomes oblivious of his surroundings, oblivious of the people around him. This carries on. So, this is the very important aspect, that amal must be done correctly. Then the dua will also be, inshallah, accepted. Number 3, mujahid ki dua rad nahi hoti. Jab tak ke wo jihad se wapas nahi aa jata, uski dua qabul hoti hai. The dua of a mujahid, this is not rejected until he is engaged in the jihad for the deen of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Number 4, mareez ki dua rad nahi hoti. The dua of a sick person. Many a times a person is sick. So he says, I'm so bored, I don't know what to do. So he says, now, number 1, I was sick, so I didn't manage to make my tasbihat and tilawat because I was sick. Understandable, sometimes a person now is quite ill, so he doesn't have the energy to sit up also. So he didn't have the energy to complete his tilawat of the Qur'an Sharif, to complete his zikr, dua, tasbihat. So then what you did? He says, no, well, now I was bored now, and I couldn't do anything. But now the ajib thing is, there was no energy for anything else. So he says, now then I started getting onto social media, and one thing led to another, and started watching some YouTube and this and that. Allah knows best where that energy came from. But there wasn't any energy to recite some tasbihat also, even the basic amount of it. So none of these things suddenly were possible, but this became possible. And hours went past, and then one thing led to another. And Allah forbid that time in which a person was very close in terms of acceptance of dua, he destroyed all those moments in haram. Person is ill, obviously an ill person cannot make it to the masjid, is excused for salah with jama'ah, depending on the level of illness. So likewise, he's ma'zur, he's excused from other things as well to a level. But there's something that takes no energy physically. And that is dua. And as we just understood, that the dua of a sick person is not rejected. Now in sickness, person is lying down, he doesn't have the energy to do anything else, but he can be making dua directly from his heart. Just talking to Allah Ta'ala directly from his heart. If he is so sick that he can't even move his tongue, that too doesn't matter. He can talk to Allah Ta'ala directly from his heart. And the dua of a sick person is accepted. Now that's the time to be engaging, not 24/7, then at least some amount. We are not of that level that we will be able to maybe keep the presence of mind for so long. But every now and again, person is lying down doing nothing. He's lying down and doing nothing, but he can't engage his heart also in talking to Allah Ta'ala for a short while, every now and again. So then there's some barrier somewhere. So now this is an opportunity. On the one side, to ask for afiyat, to ask for shifa, that too dua should be made. Many a times a person is asking others to make dua for him because he's not well, but he's not making dua himself. Whereas his dua is sometimes far more acceptable than theirs, because of his condition of illness. We must ask others as well. But in that condition, the dua is very much closer to acceptance. So dua for ourselves, dua for our families, dua for the ummah at large, in that condition of illness. And when going to visit a sick person, we should give him dua, and it's a time to take dua also. The sick person, we should take his dua, give him dua also, and take his du'as. His du'as are very much closer to acceptance. And on this, Hazrat gives on nasihat, he says that doctors in particular, they have a very great opportunity, because this is their job. They're all the time attending to sick people. So now, every Muslim patient he'll see, he should ask him for dua. Give him the treatment, but ask him for dua. And subhanallah, this is ajib one too. They ask him for dua, you'll get paid for it too. So in any case, he'll get paid for the payment, for the treatment, not for the dua. But he'll get du'as also and his fees as well. He won't be obliged to give a discount because he got some dua. But nevertheless, the point is, this is just on the side, the issue is that this is an opportunity which just gets, because just taken for granted, so this opportunity is missed out on. To ask the sick person for dua. And there is a dua that is mentioned in the Hadith Sharif that is to be recited by a sick person. As'alullah al-azim, Rabbal arshil azim, ayyashfiyak. 7 times. This dua should be recited, it must known. As'alullah al-azim, Rabbal arshil azim, ayyashfiyak. So, when the visiting somebody, the masnoon amal should be adopted. These masnoon amal have tremendous noor and barakat in it. That barakat benefits the sick person also. And the sunnats of Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam were practiced in that moment in time, that barakat and blessings that descend, the rahmat that descends, that benefits the visitor, that benefits the sick person also. So we should give dua, this particular dua of the Hadith Sharif. And then the 5th one, Allah Ta'ala bhai ki dua bhai ke liye rad nahi farmate, jabke wo uske liye ghaibana dua kare. That when a person makes dua for his fellow Muslim in his absence, so somebody, wherever he might be, but in our private moment, we're making dua for him, whoever it might be, anybody else. So the person who's making dua for some other person, in that person's absence, that dua is accepted, is not rejected. And on top of that, an angel is appointed to say Ameen to this dua. And further to also make dua for the person making the dua. May Allah bless you with the same. Now what a wonderful opportunity to get the dua of the angels. To do what? Make dua for others. Many a times, there's a problem sometimes. Problem, for example, between spouses. Problem between family members. Problem sometimes between some friends. 2 very close friends, something happened now. Things went haywire. Or family members now, there's some issue. And now they are on loggerheads with each other. Spouses are in loggerheads. So now everybody is trying to resolve the problem. Asking for advice here, somebody's asking there, somebody's scoring points here, and somebody's scoring points there. When you sit the parties down sometime, and now trying to get to resolve the issue, so sometimes one question is asked. Okay, you're making dua for your spouse. So now there's no answer because probably they're making bad dua. Maybe not verbally, but their heart. So now we're making bad dua, that's not going to help us, not going to resolve our problem. But now that was a crisis. That should have started off with making dua for ourselves, dua for each other. But at that time, person can't, it just doesn't come to mind, but what? Let me make dua for the other party as well. After all, we're in this boat together, we need to make it work. Oh, this friendship now carried on for so many years now, it's just going to be falling apart. Let me make dua for my brother as well. So dua for others. And often in these kind of situations, when something has gone amiss, something in some relationship has soured, then the heart becomes very bitter. Insan now. So sometimes the heart becomes bitter. The issue is sometimes at one level. Just for the sake of understanding, it may be 3 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 too. But the bitterness of the heart goes away to 10 out of 10. Now in that condition, all the person can do is just wish ill. And wishing ill for somebody is a very serious problem. It's malice. And this malice is a very, very serious malady. It's a sickness. It's a malady. A mu'min, his heart wishes well for everybody. A mu'min cannot have a heart that wishes ill for anyone. All these aspects of good akhlaq, to understand it just by way of an example, which parent likes to see their child dirty? So now the mother will dress the child up, clean him, etc. Now keep telling him, look, don't go and play in the mud, and don't do this, and when you're eating now, make sure you don't spill on your clothes. And now that parents like to see the child clean, presentable, let alone children, who likes to see people around them in a dirty way, shabby, unkempt. Now the husband just came back now after a long day and he sees his wife now in an unkempt way, now he feels so upset about it. All the other way around. Which all part of etiquette. It's necessary that these things are upheld, that this cleanliness, neatness, all this is part of Deen. So now everybody wants to see everyone around them, their children, the spouses want to see each other. And you see people clean, neat. Allah Ta'ala gave us all the things of good akhlaq. Allah wants to see our heart clean. We want to see everybody outside clean. We can't see the heart. Allah Ta'ala sees us inside and out. So Allah Ta'ala gave us the virtues of all the good akhlaq. And Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us the harms of all the dirt. That look, this is filthy. This is extremely dirty. This has got a terrible odor in it. So don't have this in your heart. Don't have this smell within you. Don't have this dirt inside. Keep your heart clean. Keep it shining. Allah Ta'ala loves that clean heart. So now, just as the external self gets dirty, as much as you try to keep it clean, but that's why you have to bath so regularly, and then every day you have to still clean yourself, and then your clothing has to be washed so regularly, because whether you like it or not, the dust is going to settle. So this continuous cleaning and washing has to happen. It's not going to stop at any point. As long as there's life, the person is walking around, he's going to carry on. So likewise, this inside too gets dirty. Things happen around. Somebody will say something, somebody will do something or the other will affect the heart. And something will come in, some dirt will come in. So now there's a need, just as there's need to bath regularly and daily, there's a need to do this and that to keep ourselves clean daily. Every morning a person wakes up now, first thing he has to start off with his miswak. And every wudu he's been encouraged with miswak so that the mouth remains clean. And all the other aspects of cleanliness that have been taught, that this will be ongoing. So likewise, the process of cleaning the heart will be also ongoing. And among the aspects that are very, very effective in this, that especially when some dirt has come in the heart for somebody else, in the person's absence, in our own private moment, deep down from the heart, nobody even has any idea what this person is doing, but make dua for him. Make dua for every good for the person. Make dua for every barakat and afiyat and whatever else, all the good things. Dua for safety from every calamity, every hardship. Feeling envious over somebody's progress, make dua Allah grant him more. Feeling jealous over somebody's ni'mat, make dua for him over deeply from the heart. Sometimes it might require forcing the heart to do it. But dua, Allah Ta'ala bless him with even more ni'mat. Allah Ta'ala grant even more barakat in that. When this dua will happen with sincerity, it is impossible that a person is scrubbing himself with soap and hot water and the dirt is not going to come out. Now with the best detergent and he is washing himself and scrubbing himself, the dirt will come out. This has an effect of really scrubbing the heart from this kind of dirt. That where dirt has come for somebody in particular, this is a detergent of a very high level. Because who else is hearing? Deep down, silently, maybe not even, as mentioned earlier, just talking to Allah Ta'ala from the heart. If a person is making dua raising his hands, so nobody knows what dua is making. They'll see him, they'll probably think he's making dua for prosperity for himself, but he's engaged in dua for prosperity for his brother, for goodness for somebody else. So there can't be any riya in that. So that sincere dua has a very scrubbing effect on the heart from this kind of aspects. Deeply, genuinely. Not just one time just to tick the box. Over and over again. Until this dirt comes out. Because sometimes that dirt is a little stubborn. So now one is just rubbing the soap, then sometimes it might need a scrubbing brush too. Somebody says now you need a steel brush. Point is that something or the other will scrub it out, but eventually. But the point for the heart is this dua. So among many other things is this dua. So the dua of a person for others, and subhanallah, this is such a simple and easy way to gain so much. There's only so much we can do as an individual. Whatever good a person tries to do also, how much can he do? We are so limited, we are so weak. How much can we do? We'll do a little bit and that's where we finish off. But we make dua for the good that others are doing. Somebody is, mashallah, so involved in inviting people towards Deen and making so much of sacrifice, going far and wide in the path of Allah Ta'ala. Jamaats that are working in all parts of the world. We don't even have an ability to do one fraction of it. But to make our share in that, such a simple amal Allah has given us dua, make dua for them. Allah Ta'ala grant barakat in those efforts. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of hidayat. Allah Ta'ala grant tremendous khair. Now by means of dua for that we have become, we gain a share in it. Somebody is doing some other work of deen, somebody is teaching Quran Sharif, it's probably be beyond us to ever do that. We haven't had the opportunity to learn Quran Sharif in a way we can one day teach it. We can become part of that very, very great amal and that's such a great action by making dua for those who are involved in teaching deen, those who are involved in imparting the knowledge of deen. We're sitting in our business maybe, we're making dua for somebody teaching deen, we're getting that reward. And likewise in any other aspect of life, somebody is doing some good, some welfare work people are doing, some other good somebody is doing, somebody has that passion to go and assist people in their moment of need. We don't have that ability. Somebody is mashallah making jihad in the path of Allah Ta'ala. We don't have that capacity, but we are remembering the mujahideen in our du'as. We take the benefit, the share in their a'mal which we can't even manage one fraction of. So this dua is no ordinary thing. After all, it started off on dua mukhul ibadah. It's the essence of ibadat. We should build a habit of dua. And dua in all these aspects as well. This is a very easy way to gain so much. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala give us a tawfiq. Allah Ta'ala make us among those whose hearts are connected to Him in dua all the time, and make us among His true servants. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.